Twists, lies, and unexpected moves, this episode pulled the rug out from under us in ways that will leave your mind racing. Season 3, Episode 3 of Reasonable Doubt didn't just push the story forward, it forced us to question every single character and their true motives. This is the kind of episode that makes you pause and wonder if you've been reading the clues wrong all along. From the quiet stares to the explosive moments, nothing felt wasted, and everything seemed to carry a hidden message. If you thought you knew where the story was headed, Episode 3 made it clear you don't. The episode kicks off with tension already in the air, like a storm waiting to break. Every character seems to be walking a tightrope, holding secrets close while pretending everything is fine. We don't get a slow build-up here. Instead, the story wastes no time reminding us that trust is the most fragile thing in this world. In just the first few minutes, we see how the smallest choices begin to spiral into major consequences. And it sets the tone for the chaos that follows. One of the central threads of this episode revolves around truth and how it's shaped by perspective. A conversation that looks calm on the outside carries daggers beneath the surface. Every word feels like a move on a chessboard, and by the time the scene ends, you're left questioning who is really in control. The writing plays with silence just as much as it does with dialogue. Characters linger in moments, giving us the sense that what's unsaid is far louder than what's spoken. As the story continues, alliances start to look weaker than ever. There's a moment where one character's loyalty is tested, and the outcome leaves you wondering if their mask is finally slipping. That moment doesn't just create tension, it redefines the entire dynamic moving forward. What makes this episode so gripping is how it doesn't hand you clear answers. Instead, it drops small hints, daring you to put the puzzle together yourself. Midway through the episode, the stakes climb even higher when past choices come back with sharp consequences. A decision made in a previous episode reemerges like a shadow, haunting one of the leads and pushing them into a corner. This isn't just storytelling for shock value. It's careful layering, showing us that in this world, nothing is ever forgotten. Every mistake, every lie, every hidden motive will find its way back into the light. The pace is steady but intense, keeping your eyes locked without ever feeling rushed. The episode builds pressure like a ticking clock, where you know something is about to explode, but you're not sure when or how. That unpredictability is what keeps you hooked, because just as you start to feel safe, the rug is pulled again. By the final stretch of this recap, what stands out most is the way the show forces us to doubt everyone. Nobody feels innocent. Nobody feels safe. Each character is both a victim and a suspect, and that balance is what makes this episode one of the strongest so far this season. The closing scenes don't just wrap up events, they crack the door open to an even darker path, making it impossible not to speculate on what comes next. The heartbeat of Episode 3 lies in its main storyline, which unfolds like a carefully planned trap, slowly tightening until the characters, and even we as viewers, feel completely caught. From the start of this episode, it becomes clear that the story is no longer about just surviving the moment. It's about controlling the future. Every move feels deliberate, as though each character knows they are walking across glass, and the wrong step will shatter everything. The central plot in this episode revolves around power and who truly has it. On the surface, it looks like one character is calling all the shots, manipulating situations with smooth confidence. But beneath that polished surface, cracks begin to show. We see hesitation where there should be control, and guilt flickering in moments where there should only be strength. The writers use these details to play with our minds, just when we start to think we understand who is really in charge. A new revelation pulls us in the opposite direction. A key sequence in this episode is built around confrontation, not the loud, violent kind, but the kind where two people face each other and every sentence carries a hidden threat. The beauty of this scene is how layered it is. On the outside, it seems like a normal conversation, but with every word exchanged, we sense an invisible battle being fought. One character pushes for answers, while the other skillfully avoids giving them, twisting the dialogue until we're left as frustrated as the one asking the questions. It's a masterclass in tension, reminding us that in this world, information is the deadliest weapon of all. As the episode progresses, betrayal takes center stage. The writing doesn't present betrayal as a single shocking twist. It unfolds slowly, like poison seeping through the veins of a relationship. A smile that feels too forced, a glance that lingers too long, an excuse that doesn't quite add up. These small details come together, making us realize that someone is no longer playing on the same team. What hurts more is how personal it feels, because betrayal here isn't about strategy alone. It's about cutting ties with people who once felt untouchable. At the heart of the episode, we see how fragile trust is. There's a moment where one character opens up, showing rare vulnerability, only for it to be turned against them almost immediately. That moment isn't just shocking, it's devastating. It forces us to confront the idea that in this story, every piece of honesty is a gamble. Reveal too much, and you give away your greatest weakness. Hold too much back, and you risk being exposed as a liar. This constant back and forth between truth and lies is what makes the main storyline so electrifying. Another standout element in the episode is how the writers handle the ripple effect of choices. Something that might have seemed small in episode 1 now comes back with teeth biting hard in episode 3. It's a reminder that no decision in this universe exists in isolation. Everything is connected, and the past is always waiting to collect its debt. Watching the characters struggle with these consequences creates an almost suffocating tension. You can feel their world closing in, inch by inch, with every choice they regret. But perhaps the most powerful part of this main storyline is how it challenges us, the audience, to look deeper. We're not just passive viewers here. We're being asked to play detective. The episode drops hints everywhere through dialogue, body language, even the way the camera lingers on an object or expression. Nothing is accidental, and it makes you question everything you thought you knew about these people. Are they victims? Or are they masterminds hiding in plain sight? Episode 3 doesn't answer that for us. It dares us to figure it out on our own. By the end of the main storyline, the episode leaves us with a mix of clarity and confusion. We understand some characters better than before, but new mysteries rise up to take their place. Power has shifted, trust has been broken, and what once felt certain is now nothing more than smoke. This constant push and pull keeps the story alive, breathing, and unpredictable. Episode 3 proves that the main storyline of Reasonable Doubt isn't about giving us closure, it's about keeping us on edge, waiting, doubting, and second-guessing every move. If episode 3 proved anything, it's that characters are no longer who they appeared to be at the start of the season. Masks are slipping, alliances are cracking, and true motives are beginning to surface. This episode wasn't just about moving the story forward, it was about peeling back layers and showing us the raw, often uncomfortable truths about the people we thought we understood. Each character carries their own weight, but 3 in particular dominate the spotlight. The leader, who can no longer hold the same control. The loyal one whose faith is wearing thin. And the unpredictable presence who seems to thrive in chaos. Let's begin with the leader figure. Up until now, they projected strength, strategy, and unshakable calm. But episode 3 allows us to see the cracks in their armor. For the first time, hesitation creeps into their voice. Their choices, once sharp and decisive, now feel clouded by guilt and doubt. In one quiet scene, their eyes linger too long on a past mistake, and that pause tells us everything they're haunted. It's a powerful shift, because when the strongest player in the game begins to falter, the entire balance of power changes. We start to wonder, is this the beginning of their downfall, or the setup for an even greater reinvention? The episode doesn't give us answers, but it plants those questions in our minds. Then we have the character who has always played the loyal supporter, the one who stood firm in moments of crisis and made sacrifices for the bigger picture. But here, their loyalty feels strained. They're torn between protecting the person they've always trusted and following their own instincts, which scream that something is off. This tension plays out beautifully in small ways. The way they avoid eye contact, the hesitation in their tone, the way they test boundaries without fully breaking them. It's subtle but powerful. Because loyalty is no longer automatic, it's conditional. And in a world where betrayal lurks at every corner, conditional loyalty might be the same as no loyalty at all. And then there's the wild card. Every story needs one, the character who thrives on unpredictability, whose motives are never fully clear, and who seems to enjoy watching chaos unfold. Episode 3 gives this character the perfect stage. Their actions don't always make sense, and their words often carry double meanings, but that's what makes them magnetic. They remind us that not every move in this game is calculated. Some are impulsive, reckless, or purely emotional. And sometimes, it's those impulsive choices that change everything. Watching them weave through scenes is like watching a fire spread. You don't know what direction it will take, but you know it's going to leave destruction behind. What makes these character arcs so compelling is the way they intersect. The leader's guilt, the supporter's doubt, and the wildcard's recklessness all collide in ways that feel both inevitable and unpredictable. When one falters, the other is forced to pick up the slack, but not always willingly. When one tests boundaries, another is forced to reveal their true stance. Episode 3 thrives on these collisions, reminding us that characters aren't just individuals, they're forces that constantly reshape one another. The episode also highlights vulnerability in ways we rarely see. One character, known for their strength, shows a brief moment of weakness that almost feels out of place, but it's not. It's intentional, a reminder that even the strongest need release, even the most guarded carry scars. That vulnerability doesn't make them weaker, it makes them more dangerous. Because pain can be just as powerful a motivator as ambition. What's especially fascinating is how the show makes us shift our sympathies. A character we might have dismissed earlier suddenly earns our empathy through a small, humanizing moment. Another, once a favorite, makes a choice that turns our stomachs. It's a constant dance of loyalty, not just among the characters, but between the characters and us as the audience. We're forced to reconsider who we root for, who we trust, and who we fear. By the time this character deep dive comes to a close, the picture is both clearer and more complicated. We understand these people more than before, but that understanding makes them harder to pin down. The leader is no longer invincible. The supporter is no longer blindly loyal. The wild card is no longer just chaotic, they're purposeful in ways we didn't expect. Together, these shifts create a dangerous storm, one that promises even greater explosions in the episodes to come. Episode 3 doesn't just reveal character, it redefines it, showing us that in this world, identity itself is always on trial. Episode 3 delivers its strongest punches through the twists that no one sees coming. The beauty of this episode is not just in the surprises themselves, but in how they are revealed slowly, carefully. Like a magician pulling silk scarves from a sleeve, each one more colorful and alarming than the last. The twists aren't cheap tricks thrown in for shock value. They are earned through character choices, hidden clues, and the weight of past actions finally crashing down in the present. The first major twist lands with the force of betrayal. What seemed like loyalty in earlier episodes suddenly crumbles, exposing a decision that changes everything. It isn't loud or obvious at first, just a subtle break, like a hairline crack in glass. But the moment we notice it, the entire structure begins to splinter. Betrayal here isn't painted as a single, dramatic act. It's shown as a slow erosion of trust, the kind that eats away at relationships until they collapse under their own weight. The shock isn't just in the act itself, but in the realization that the betrayal had been building all along, hidden in plain sight. Another twist comes from a truth long buried. Episode 3 makes it clear that in this world, secrets don't stay secrets forever. A character who has worked hard to bury their past finds the skeletons clawing their way out of the closet, refusing to stay silent. The reveal doesn't come in a thunderstorm of chaos, but in a quiet, calculated moment that lands with even greater impact. The theme here is simple but powerful. The past always returns. No matter how much these characters try to run from what they've done, the shadows are always waiting to step into the light. One of the most striking twists is emotional rather than physical. The episode flips our understanding of a character's motive, taking someone we thought we had pegged as selfish or cold and showing a hidden vulnerability that redefines them completely. It's a dangerous trick the writers let us lower our guard, letting us feel sympathy, only to remind us a moment later that sympathy in this world can be a trap. This duality creates an ongoing theme of blurred morality. No one is purely good or purely evil. They live in shades of gray, where every act of kindness carries a hidden cost, and every act of cruelty might have a twisted logic behind it. The episode also explores the theme of power and how unstable it truly is. At one point, a character who seemed untouchable suddenly finds themselves cornered, stripped of their influence in a single devastating exchange. It forces us to question the very structure of control within this world. Is power about who speaks the loudest, or about who listens the most carefully? Is it about intimidation, or about manipulation? Episode 3 plays with these questions, making us realize that power shifts faster than we ever expect. It's not about holding it forever, it's about surviving long enough to hold it again tomorrow. Perhaps the boldest theme running through episode 3 is doubt itself. The title Reasonable Doubt isn't just about the legal world or the surface level conflicts, it's about the state of mind every character lives in. Doubt surrounds them like fog, clouding their vision and making every choice harder. They doubt their friends. They doubt their enemies. Most of all, they doubt themselves. The episode uses this uncertainty as a weapon, pulling us into the same mental trap. As viewers, we find ourselves doubting what we see, doubting who to trust, doubting the meaning of each look, each line of dialogue. It's brilliant storytelling because it makes us part of the game. By the final moments, the biggest twist doesn't come from a loud revelation, but from silence, the quiet look that says everything without a single word. It's the kind of scene that makes you replay earlier moments in your mind, realizing clues were there all along, just hidden in body language, in pauses, in the way someone shifted their tone. It's not just shocking, it's haunting. It lingers with you long after the episode ends, making you question what's real and what's performance. In the end, the twists and themes of episode 3 do more than shock us, they deepen the story. They show us that betrayal is inevitable, secrets are impossible to bury, power is unstable, and doubt is the most dangerous weapon of all. Together, they weave a narrative that is as unpredictable as it is thought-provoking. Episode 3 doesn't just want to entertain. It wants to unsettle, to make you second-guess everything you thought you knew, and to remind you that in this world, nothing is ever as it seems.